In this video, I started out by asking Munira about the skills from different areas of her life that she has been able to use in entrepreneurship. But something unexpected happened. She spoke about the one key to communication that can help you grow exponentially. Munira is a DISC consultant and she uses that framework to help people better understand themselves and improve communication in every area, including relationships. So if you've ever been passionate about communicating like a pro, check out this video. You've had different experiences in your life and you've gone through having kids, a family, so many things. What skills did you learn from those areas that you could use in entrepreneurship today?
So my husband, when I got married, I was 15 years old. And he was 13 years older to me. And his thing always was, if you love me, you'll know what I'm thinking. And my thing was, I love you, but I'm not a mind reader. I cannot just read your mind. You have to tell me.
Yeah.
Now, in a relationship, I was married to him for 24 years, so you know exactly what the next thing is going to say, or what his reaction is going to be to a certain thing, or what if you ask him, what am I going to have, what do you want for dinner, he's going to give you this certain menu, or which is a standardized thing, so you already know what that's going to happen. But you still want to have a conversation just to have a conversation.
Right.
That communication, allowed me to analyze different people in my working life, in different relationships who are my friends, people in my jobs, to see how do other people communicate. And that's when I really got into communication, because how do other people communicate? How do other people talk about certain things and not have a conflict? Right. And it has allowed me to think before I speak. I always, and I learned DISC later in life, so I've got DISC in my toolbox only 5 years now. But I've been around for a little bit of time, right? So, but it allowed, the whole communication thing is so fascinating to me. And I started realizing that there's other ways to communicate. So do you just look at people and then communicate? And that happened a lot, because my mom would look at me and I would know exactly what she's telling me. That's another way of communicating. Your mother gives you that look and you are thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die the minute this person walks away. So, you know that look, right?
Yeah.
But also there was other ways where other people communicated. Not only just your immediate family, but what about people outside your realm, people outside of your work? How do you look at people? So now that I have DISC, and I'm so good at it, and I learn it, and I practice it so much, I can tell a person's personality just by walking up. People ask me all the time, okay, tell me what they are thinking. I don't know what you're thinking, but I'll tell you what your personality is. So what have I learned? If you don't have the DISC in your toolbox, or you are just trying to figure out people, I would say communication is 90% listening and 10% talking. So watch, learn, and listen.
And I think that applies to every facet of life. Just listen.
Right.
And listen.
And communication is 90% listening. And one thing that I've also noticed, and I've learned this from my grandkids, because you never have time to raise your kids, and you don't have time to ever understand and watch your kids because you're always on the move. But when you have grandkids, you watch them and you think about how each one is learning. I have the littlest one who is almost 2. Doesn't talk a lot, but he has a few words in his vocabulary. But he watches his older brother and his older sister and all of the people around, and then he'll go and do the same thing. And it's like, how do you learn this stuff? But he's watching and he's listening. He doesn't talk much, but he knows how to communicate. And then there are babies who are out there who are going to make themselves understood by just giving you, directions by hand, just gestures. They
Yeah.
exactly know, and if they keep looking, and they'll keep looking at that thing, and then they'll look at you, and they'll look at you. It's the same thing with animals, you know. If a dog wants a treat, he keeps going back to the treat cupboard and comes back. So it's right. Everybody communicates, but you just have to understand what language they're doing it in.
And from what you were saying, it's listening doesn't just mean listening to the words, listening to also to their body language. Because
Right.
I remember you just mentioned that you could read what your mom was going to say just from her facial expression. That just based on that expression, you know what is going to be said.
Right.
And that's the depth of listening. And a lot of people don't realize how many levels are there to listening. But I just wanted to highlight this specific thing because there's so much. If you just look at a baby who's trying to grow up, as you were mentioning, your grandchild, they listen to everything possible. Actually, that is the age where they don't talk and they're listening to everything. And they are constantly just listening and they're trying to replicate what they're going to say and what they get feedback for.
Right.
So it's a constant trial and error. And what happens, unfortunately, as we grow up, as we get into relationships, we decide not to try as much. We decide to be really careful. We decide to be really cautious. And so you stop learning. You stop being able to learn about your partner. You stop being able to grow yourself. And you just stop listening, which is unfortunately really sad. Because if you're not growing, you're pretty much dying.